All right, we are live. Welcome, everybody, to the Chef's Table. It is a spoon and fork day, by the way. We are not just going to be building your business. This is your build of your business, but we're also going to feed your mind, feed your soul, and tell you exactly what words you've been using incorrectly that are actually keeping you stuck and possibly not moving into profit into your business. Shocking, but it's true. I know. Words we have come to discover are such powerful little things. And most of the time, we're very unaware of what we're saying. So I brought in a good friend and specialist around this. I am bringing on with you guys today because we're having this amazing conversation over the weekend. And I was like, Felicia, we got to do this live. Like, we have got to share all this and fabulous knowledge that we've been talking about. So I'm bringing on Felicia. She lives in Denmark. She's over the pond from me, but she might be closer to some of you that are watching. She is a dancer, professional dancer. She is amazing. She's also a top video pin expert and strategist. She specializes in video pins and just is amazing in her creativity, her brilliance, her ability to see visual stories. I just love her brain and all of her also, but that brain is pretty darn incredible. So we were talking this weekend about this crazy word that a lot of us use that's actually hurting us in business. And then a lot of it is around the mindset of how we think about business in general, what we're up to, and how we can kind of break through our mental blocks that we have around finances, money, and moving forward in our business. So thank you so much, Felicia, for joining me here today at the Chef's Table.
Well, thank you for having me. And just so you know, my cat is here with us. He has a lot of opinions too, apparently. Just if you wonder, it's not me meowing, it's him.
He does have a lot of opinions. He is he's going to add some great depth and context.
Very wise cat, yeah.
He goes on walks with you and everything, though, which is very impressive, by the way.
Yeah, but anywho, so yeah, super happy to be here and to be invited. And it really was a great conversation that we had on Saturday, I think.
Yes, it was. So we were talking about, you and I, we've been in this world of internet marketing, education, and training for a few years now, like almost 5 years, something like that, somewhere in that realm, I think.
I don't even have track of it anymore.
Well, and you and I, we've been reading a lot of books, and I know that we were talking about a specific book that I'll mention later on. So I'm not going to bring up a whole bunch of books for you all today. But inside of this conversation, we were talking about the mindset around attracting money, about attracting wealth into our lives. So for those of you that are joining us live or catching the replay, #replay would be awesome. And if you're joining us live, let us know where you're joining in from, because we always like to know where everybody is visiting from inside of here so that we can acknowledge you. So Felicia, you and I were talking about this, right? We said, the world of one of the characters in here talks about not understanding how money works, not understanding, like, can you be wealthy no matter your circumstances? I mean, would you agree that you can kind of change your mindset, maybe change the language you're using?
Yeah, I think it's about more than just changing. I mean, language definitely helps because we hear ourselves talk all the time, but I think it's more about changing what your thinking is first. There are so many limiting beliefs out there, and I mean, it sounds, sometimes when you have this conversation, it's so easy to think, this all sounds very wooey and, like it's just magic. But in the reality, because very often it's explained like, you can just think your way to wealth. And that's why I was stopping myself, because I don't want to, sound like if you just change your mindset, it will all come flying to you. I mean, there's still actions you need to take, but I truly do believe that it starts with you. I mean, you're not going to go out and take the actions you need to take if you believe that you can't achieve success. So you need to start with what you're thinking, and then through your thinking, you start using effective word use. When I dance, so for those of you who don't know, I take a lot of classes with teens and preteens, and one day I noticed that a lot of them had gotten this habit of saying, oh, I can't do this. I can't do this. And I thought to myself, so this is not just, an entrepreneurial thing. So I told him, make a habit of saying, I haven't learned to do this yet. It's okay to be intimidated by a move where you're like, whoa. But then, ask the questions. You need to ask the teacher to break it down into simpler steps that, you do understand how to do, and just tell yourself, I haven't learned this yet, instead of saying, I can't do that. Because when you say you can't do that, that's, a symptom, if you can say, of what you're thinking. You're telling yourself that, I can't do it. That person, that just taught me, the teacher, and the people in class that can, in fact, do that, they probably just woke up someday and they could do it. And that's never how it happens. And I think, don't you think that that's the thing? If you're not there yet and you see other successful people, it's easy to think that they just got up one day and, maybe they inherited money, or, they got up and luck just strike out of the blue. And
no, I'm glad you said this, because I was actually in a conversation yesterday where people say, oh my gosh, I see you jumping in. I see, you doing your lives. And it's like, I could never do that. Right. It's like they think I woke up one day and just started blathering all of this out of my head. But I like what you said, though, because you did, because it's like I haven't learned that yet, right? It's not like this is something that you didn't get rid of, and this is just a mindset piece, right? It's like, what are you saying about what you can and cannot do that can make a difference for you, right?
Right.
And the same thing goes for us. We were talking about on Saturday about investing. You and I have invested a lot over the last several years into our mindset, into our business, into our education. And I hear this a lot. And it was actually James Melichek. I was on a training with him. He goes, everybody uses the word, I'm spending money. I have to buy things, right? I just keep spending money on courses. I keep spending. And he's like, we have to look at the word spending, right? Especially from a business and entrepreneurial standpoint, because we don't spend money. What we are doing is actually investing into ourselves, into our education to get to where we want to go. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's ironic, because I actually had this conversation with my brother yesterday. So my brother is not an entrepreneur; he's an accountant, right? He is on the career path of having a job, and he wanted. So I hope it's okay to tell a short story here. So he wanted to build a house. I swear it ties in with what we're talking about. So he had realized he lives in this gorgeous old apartment in the city from the 1700s. It's right between his work, and he's very, because because of his accountant mindset and everything he has there, he talks much about being effective and stuff, right? So it's effective for him to live there, and he loves living there inside of the city. He's young, and that's great, right? But then he also wants to be in nature. He wants to have access to nature, and so he wants to have this gorgeous house, and he's not one for settling. It's something we have in our family. He's not one for settling. He wants to buy land and build this thing with an architect with the best materials that you can come across. And then he was like, but that's gonna cost a lot of money. So it's not something that I can do. And then I told him something that one of my mentors told me. There is no such thing as a lack of money. There's only lack of creativity. And the reason I'm telling this story is because he was a little, he objected to that a little bit. He was like, maybe I agree a little bit with that, but but the thing is, he's looking at this big thing he wants to do. I think it's the same when we invest in something, right? We look at these big courses and we feel like it's spending, right? The money will not come back to us. That's how we sometimes feel. That's why we call it spending. That's why it makes it scary, right? I mean, I'm also asking, like, if you ever feel scared, when you invest in big mentorship or big business investments. I used to feel the same way. It's because most likely it's because you're looking at it as something where you will not make the money back. You're losing money, right? They're coming out of your pocket, and you don't have any externally verifiable proof that money will come back to you. But money is a flow, and you need to invest something, and not just money. You need to invest your time. You need to invest your feelings. You need to invest a lot, because if you're not trying to push the wheel to go somewhere else, you're just gonna get what you have. I don't know if that made sense, but in my head that made a lot of sense. But
it made perfect sense over here. Definitely. I feel a lot of you guys, this is kind of like a slap in the face. You're like, holy cow, right? Like, wow. Yeah.
But I think that's what it is with spending, right? Is that we connect a certain feeling, and that's what I meant before too, with that. It's not just that you need to change your language, it's that you need to investigate what is it that makes me say that I'm spending money, because essentially it's what you're thinking. Humans have a way of in reality, words don't really mean anything, but we put meaning to it. That's what humans do. And because of the societies we live in, we tend to put that same feeling to the same word. So that's why most people can accurately say that if you're saying spending, you have a specific way of thinking, a specific paradigm that you might need to break through, and we all have to do it.
True.
I truly think that it's very rare to just have been born and not have any of those. I want to call them ineffective thinking, because it depends where you want to go, right? But if you want to go big with a big dream, they're ineffective ways of thinking.
Right. No, I love what you said about spending. And when we think of spending, we think about money going out, but not coming back in.
Yeah.
So we have that mindset that I'm going to go spend money on this, or you're just spending money frivolously. Like we hear that a lot over here, at least in the stateside. And it does. It means there's no return on it. But when you hear like a word called it, like investing, right? So I'm investing in my education. There is a psychological piece where we think, okay, by investing, I'm going to get something back, right? Either I am going to get the monetary back, or I'm going to exchange this for information and knowledge, and to gain an expertise around something. Because once you gain knowledge, you never lose it.
Right? You can't unlearn it. Unless you actively try to unlearn it for something else, you need to, which sometimes does happen, right? But I mean, but it's not going to fall out of your head.
No.
Like, oops, where is it? I lost it.
Yeah. You can't actually, like once you learn to ride a bike, even if you don't ride a bike for, 10 years, when you get back on a bike, the knowledge comes back to you, right? It might feel a little rocky, but you don't have a fear of getting on the bike because you've been on it before. You know where it's going. And so a lot of times, I think when we started looking at how we're investing into our businesses, how we're investing into our growing our own growth, our mentorship, right? Investing into somebody else. This was another conversation we've had too. A lot of times we think it's outrageous to spend, $10,000, $15,000, even $3,000 or even $500 on investing in a coach or a mentor. And I saw a post on this the other day where somebody felt like they didn't get the coaching they wanted, or the type of coaching they wanted, right? But at the same time, you don't know what you don't know, that when you get into those situations.
Right.
But if you're going to be looking for a coach, I think having this open conversation for those that are on here too, feel free to jump in. But I always heard that if you're going to follow a coach, it's like find somebody that has what you want, like has like a certain type of style, brand, business that you want. Follow them along, right? Do what they do so you get what you want, right? So coaching, investing in mentorship, you and I were talking about this because people are like, oh, I don't want to spend that kind of money in mentorship and personal development. It's, that's just a lot of money I'm spending.
Yeah. And I think what we were talking about this Saturday too was when you have that kind of thinking, you're also in danger, so to speak, of not charging what you are worth when you start selling whatever it is that you sell.
Yep.
Right, we were talking about this whole thing about giving out free information. Of course, you need to let people know who you are and willingly give something to let the world know that you exist. But if you keep just giving and giving, and you have yourself invested so much, don't just give that away. Don't just give everything you have away. You also need to value yourself and your own knowledge, which sometimes can be a new challenge. To acknowledge that what you know is not something that everybody knows, and that goes for anything. I mean, anything, any industry. It's not just what you know about building a business or coaching people. It's anything you sell. If you know an enormous amount of facts about shoes, and how you should buy your shoes and what shoes are good for you, and I heard something about that, there are different ways of walking, which doesn't surprise me, but then so there are different people, different walks, different shoes, and someone who goes that much into knowing about selling shoes, should definitely find a way to share that, but in a way where you can sustain a living with it, and not just scrape money. And I mean, yeah.
No, I agree. I think a lot of times we don't value our own information. I hear this a lot because I've been working with a group of students right now that are building out their own products, and everybody wants to sell it for like $7. Right? They're like, oh, I just want to put it out there. I'm going to sell for $7. And we were both kind of talking about this, Felicia, that $7 is kind of like almost undermining your skill set or your knowledge. Because for me, and I don't know, this might not be for everybody, but I think sometimes $7, we do put a lot of value inside of it. And I don't think people always realize the value inside of it. It's almost like a throwaway product. If I buy something for $7, I might spend one time looking at it and never come back to it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it depends what kind of product. I think there is a space for the $7 product, but yeah, if you put together a whole course and end up charging people $7, they're not actually going to see the value. They're not even going to recognize the value. That is one of the lessons that took me the longest to learn, honestly.
Yep.
Is I kept telling myself, no, if someone gave me free information, I would definitely value it. And maybe I would to some extent, but honestly, at one point I've seen it enough that I had to come around and realize that no, when I have to, it's not just money. It could also be that I'm putting in a lot of work for someone to be on their course, but there has to be something you have to give in exchange for you to actually truly appreciate the value of what you're given. It's a psychological fact. I kind of hate it a little bit, but I haven't seen the exception to the rule yet. I'm sure there is one, but most of us just don't see the value in things unless the person putting it out there is explaining the value, and part of explaining the value is actually also that you're charging an amount of money. You put an investment in there, you put effort in there, you put time. You can never get your time back.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. It's true. And I think that's the big thing when we talk about this. You can't get your time back, and you're paying for people's time. Felicia, we've spent hours investing in time. We spent hours investing in products and services, and we've spent the time. We've done the hard work, and a lot of times, what we give back, what we teach and train, is all those thousands of hours and dollars and everything that we've done. And it cost us something. So why would we turn around and just give that away for free?
Yeah. I reckon that a lot of people watching this might be in the network marketing space and affiliation space. I once heard Lisa Grossman.
Yep.
Grossman. Yeah.
Grossman, yep.
So she was on stage once and said that she had heard someone say that it takes did she say 20,000 hours to become an expert at something? But it only takes I might have to go back and look at the exact numbers, but I'm pretty sure she said it only takes 20 hours to become pretty good at something. You know, good enough that you can if we're going outside of just earning money, it could also be good enough that you can ride a bike, or you may not win Tour de France, but you can ride a bike. You know, and sometimes that's all you need to get started. But and then she had gone out and researched it and found that that was actually true. You know, so whenever you see an expert, they didn't just pop up there. And whenever you start feeling yourself being very confident in what you know in your style, you may not be comfortable calling yourself an expert, but that's actually what you are when you truly know something and you can help people do whatever it is, buy the perfect shoe, or, you know, win to you became an expert, and that took you that many hours.
Wow.
That's because you invested that many hours of your life, and I think you invested it. And hopefully you're doing something that you truly love, so it's never a waste of time, but you did that. Even when your boat is rocking and time seems rough, and it seems like because I think we all, I don't know, I think it seems like it's inevitable, right? It seems like there's always that time of struggle for any successful person really I've ever heard of, including myself and you. You know, I used to live in Vietnam. I had built my little dance dream. I was perfectly happy with what I had. I was not rich in money, but I was really rich in experiences and friends, and I loved where I lived, and I loved my life. And then, you know, from one week to another, you know, all of a sudden, for me, out of the blue, I got thrown out of Vietnam. I had 1 week to quit my apartment, tell the different places I was teaching that I couldn't teach anymore, and quit my job in, you know, very turbulent time. And as if that wasn't scary enough to be in a country and actually not have enough to, you know, I had to sell my things to try and get the money to get the ticket home. You know, a last minute ticket at that time of year that I was thrown out was not cheap. And then, as if that wasn't enough, you know, less than 24 hours after I had arrived home, I was, you know, completely heartbroken on my brother's couch and, you know, tired. So I slept. And while I had been asleep, you know, in daylight, it was daytime, somebody had came and stolen every electronic piece and all my suitcases except the one with my clothes. You know, there's just that, you know, at the time it didn't seem like, you know, how do you get out of that? No, and not just no money. I really had a huge debt at that time because of everything. And I had clothes and I had the love of my brother and his couch. I mean, it seems pretty bleak. How the heck do you come back from that? And I had no education, and there was no one willing to give me a job as a dancer in Denmark because just, yeah, didn't have that kind of network here. You know, there's always that time of struggle and that time of, it seems like I'm getting nowhere. I'm just putting out all these money, and it really does feel like spending, but it's up to the 6 inches between your ears to be creative enough that that is not the truth.
Yeah.
That you turn it around and create another reality for yourself.
I love that. And I think the other thing, when you talked about with Lisa Grossman, when she was up on that stage, not only does she talks about, you know, it only takes, you know, 20 hours to start getting proficient at something, and it's 10,000 or whatever hours to become an expert at it, right? So it's like investing that time. But she also said something that just kind of stuck with me too, is like, when you first get started, you're going to suck.
Yeah.
And then you're going to go along and you're going to suck, right? And then it's going to be a couple months later and you're still going to suck at this. And then
you're going to suck a little more.
Yeah, you're going to suck a little more, right? And then it's just going to suck. And then one day you become mediocre.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you suck, you suck, you suck, you suck, you suck, and then you become mediocre, right? You're not even at the expert level yet, right? But this is
Right.
the journey of it, is that you don't go from, not so great to like massive super expert over like a short period of time. It's like you're going to go from suck to mediocre to maybe a little more mediocre, and then maybe a little, now you get to a little advanced, right?
Yeah.
It's like this whole journey is just a hot mess of everything that we're doing, right? So it's like, how do we keep moving forward? How do we continue to go through this? And I think what you've said so far, it's the 6 inches between the head here. What is it that we can do to step forward and make the difference for our business?
And I guess it's also trusting yourself.
Mm.
I remember feeling, because eventually I figured that, okay, so first I went back to a job. I just wasn't, and there's nothing wrong with a job, by the way. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that wasn't for me. I was very unhappy, and I would not be happy going back to an education that I didn't really want either. I just, and and then you start doubting yourself. Am I unrealistic and unreasonable about my life? Am I that arrogant that I can't just have a regular job? And I don't know if I'm the only one, but I just know that was where I was at. Am I that arrogant? Am I that unrealistic? And am I just not growing up? Is there something wrong with me? And then I, insisted on starting this business with no business experience, and didn't quite know what direction I was taking. And then you get even more, not confident with yourself, and then when you don't see results that fast, and you're really in need of it at the time, and then you start doubting a little more, oh shoot, what have I gotten myself into? Maybe I'm just, it's that keep finding the trust that, okay, no, I took the first step, I have to take the next step, then I have to take the next step and course correct until, success. And yeah.
Oh, I love that you just said course correct.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we go down a path, we're like, oops, wrong path. Yeah.
Which book so I don't remember which book it was that I read this, but I loved the analogy that he did. So apparently, I think I read it in several books actually. So let's take the one with the airplane. So this dude had, I'm pretty sure it was dude. Okay, I'll remember the book. But so he had calculated, really nerdy, right? So he had calculated that when a plane takes off from somewhere to Detroit, I don't remember where it's from, but let's just say it's from the other end of the U.S. somewhere, and it has to go to Detroit, and then he had calculated, I don't remember the calculations, that if it just pointed, I think it was like 2 degrees to one side, it would, because of the distance, it would go to another city, go to New York, I think. So so what he said was that, but there's not one time, it's not always pointing, its like the head of the flight is not always pointed towards DC. It keeps, deviating a little bit from the road, but whenever the system, acknowledges that, oh, we're deviating a little bit, it just course corrects and come back, and then it deviates a little bit to the other way, and then it course corrects. And I heard the same thing with, going to the moon. If you were going on a airspace shuttle, that it would be the same thing, right? It would be a little bit, going for Mars, or I don't know, and then
yeah.
And I think it's the same thing with any journey. You can't always get, or maybe I shouldn't say can't, but it's very unlikely to always be on point, straight, pointing in that direction. You are going to lose your course a little bit, and then, just course correct.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to course correct. You're going to invest in different elements. Some are going to serve you. Some are not going to serve you.
Mm-hmm.
I've invested in courses that I thought was where I wanted to go, and that didn't work. I've invested in mentors where I got maybe 1 or 2 pieces of nuggets out of it. That for me was enough, right? I might not have got what I thought I would need out of that one, but I got those 1 or 2 nuggets that shifted my business.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're going to invest in different things. And I always say, take what you need at the time and then, adjust it into your business or to adjust it into your life or your dance style or, designing shoes or whatever that looks like, right? Not everything is going to probably work out 100%.
Yeah.
But
and forgive yourself for not knowing at the time. You don't know what you don't know. And I also heard somebody else say, the plan you start out with is not the plan you're going to end up with. But it's important that you start with a plan because it does give you some sort of direction. And then as you execute, you get smarter. And yeah, that's right, Charlotte. Pivot. I mean, you get. And Charlotte definitely knows this. You learn at the journey. And then you course correct, and yeah, there's going to be those investments. I started out thinking that network marketing was where I was going to soar because it seemed like that was the thing for me when I didn't have anything, any background knowledge of anything. And it was a really good start for me. I don't have anything against network marketing, just wasn't where I was going to end up. It was my start, and it was what taught me a lot of the things I needed to pivot over to the next thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Right there with you. I started in network marketing and then I stepped out of network marketing and I didn't know where my journey was going to go. That this is the whole thing is that you don't know. We pick a path. That's the thing. It's choose the path, right? Or start the path and start walking. And along that journey, you're going to meet people. Like I met Felicia at an event, and we've met in person. I've flown out to Denmark. She came and she trained with me at a 3-day mastermind for our Pinterest training. So these people, you don't know who you're going to meet until you start going down the path, until you start taking those first steps, because you're going to meet different people along the way that are going to impact how you invest, what you invest in. And I love what I've heard recently is, don't do this alone as an entrepreneur. No matter what business you're in, don't try to figure this out on your own, because what's up here, as Felicia said, the 6 inches in between doesn't always tell you the truth. So sometimes, most of the time, you need to be able to have conversations and talk to other people and learn different skill sets that you don't know that you need or have or get to have in the future. That makes sense.
Other people can also be a mirror. I started doing those videos for some ads when I was still in network marketing, and people started asking me how I did the videos, and I started getting some good numbers. And if those people hadn't started asking me for advice on how to create their videos, I wouldn't have known that that was something I could teach. Other people are also your mirrors. So you can, I think you can always take things from everything you're doing. Everything, even what seems like the biggest failure can, there can be values and lessons in there that maybe you needed to learn to find, where your success is going to take you.
I love that you said that. That people are your mirrors. They let you know what you're good at, and they keep asking you, and you just kind of lean into that.
Right.
You lean into what people keep asking you to share.
Like, do I love teaching them this? Okay, cool. Then maybe, I can keep doing that. What else can I do? Is there something I can learn to,
Yep, I love that.
Me here.
Yeah, so we're at the top of the hour. So I really want to thank everybody for jumping on. Some great comments from Winnie and Charlotte and Minnie. Thank you for jumping on here. I know Will was on with us and Susan. So thank you guys, ladies and gentlemen, for jumping in and being here with us on the Chef's Table. The point of this conversation, and I hope you guys got some great tips and some nuggets out of there. And Felicia, thank you for jumping on and sharing what I think were just some, like I call them nugget bombs. They're like little nuggets and they just drop them on you and, take it in, learn from it, continue to move forward in your business. And Felicia, it's an honor when you say yes to coming on and sharing your expertise and your knowledge and just the journey that you've been on, because I learned so much. every time we have our conversation, and the mindset and the knowledge and your expertise really is invaluable. So thank you for being here today at the Chef's Table. Inside of that, some of you might know there is an entrepreneurial challenge that's going on right now. Felicia, if you don't mind, I want to kind of share a little bit about that one.
Yeah.
But we talk about the entrepreneurial journey, and I think Felicia touched upon a lot of this today. And so I invite you guys to join us in a 5-day challenge. It kicks off today. If this is your first time watching us, it's 5 days. It's a complimentary challenge. There's no fee to come in and learn. A lot of the things that Felicia and I shared with you today, we discuss and we talk about inside of this 5-day challenge, which definitely give it a different mindset and a different piece for you to come in and join us with. So I'd love to have you join us in this challenge. Grab some of grab the training, the actionable training that I know that you can start putting into your business today. Just as you guys have given nugget bombs here to blow. So I'm going to drop down a link down in the little scrolly thingy. It's called thechefkatrina.com/freedom. I love those little scrolly thingies, just so you know.
Yeah, I was just going to say, ooh.
Yeah, there's scrolly thingies here. But if you want to get more in depth for what Felicia and I just talked about, if you want to work on mindset, power list, the journey of an entrepreneur, be supported inside this a community that helps bring you up, lifts you up, gives you access to these types of conversations, then I invite you to join this challenge. I'd love to have you in there. Like I said, it's complimentary, but you'll learn a lot about the journey of being an entrepreneur. And with that, Felicia, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for everyone that joined and watched us. And with that, I hope everyone has an amazing day, and we'll talk to you very soon. Goodbye, everyone.